Welcome to Marantz Rantz, no advice on finance. Spin the wheel and take a chance. Get an NFT and a little education. The system got undertow, that knowledge is flotation. You wanna learn? Well, you came to right place. You're pumping AMC, might get slapped in the face. Get your due diligence, know who the villain is. Don't be a sheep when the shepherd's carnivorous. So come learn, laugh, and maybe you win big. And listen up, y'all, the wheel is not rigged. Everybody get a chance in the live chat. Kyoto spin wheel, you win just like that. Retail fight back and this retail winning. Y'all just wait, man, this is just the beginning. All fellow simians, GME group singing the truth. We just chillin', infinity pool swimming. So welcome to Marantz Rantz. A lot of knowledge but no advice on finance. Don't even need pants, you can tune in naked like Kenny the Mayo Man. Internet's most hated. Don't wanna lose your money, then it's time for you to listen. If you're ignorant, invest in AMC, a superstition. The stream about ready, they told us to don't dance. I do what I want. Welcome to Marantz Rantz. 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 Welcome to Marantz Rantz.
Sorry I'm a little late tonight. Talking to my son. Shout out to my dude. Asked if I would walk with him down the aisle. That's a big, tall task, you know? It's not like a father giving away a daughter. He just said, "Hey, Pops, I know it's not traditional, but will you walk with me?" I said, "Man, what are we wearing?" Oh, man, I got other things to worry about. Other things to worry about in this world other than what the FUD campaign is against GameStop tonight. It's okay, though. We're going to be all right. Is that? Yeah, we're good on the light. It's cool. Oh, it doesn't. I forgot, guys. You know what I forgot? I forgot this stuff. It's not even in the film up here. This stuff's not even in way up here. Bros. You got one of these Nintendo Power magazines? I still got mine, bro. This is November 2002. Or is that just November 2nd? No, it's got to be 2002. Metroid Prime, right? Yeah, 2002. This was it. I still got it. I still got all the original everything in here, man. Look at that. Oh. Hey, us gamers, we're just different. I wonder if you're a real gamer, Marantz. This guy even owned GameStop. Anyway. We're going to talk about some good stuff. Yeah. Annual shareholders meeting was today, which I found it a little funny. You should shimmy shake. Yeah. No, so I found it a little funny that GameStop comes out with their annual shareholders meeting today. If you guys missed it, I'll recap it for you. It was nothing. It was boring. It was everything. It was something. How about that? Does that recap? I was working. I was driving on into work, so I didn't have a chance to stream it. And as I was driving, I was the first one into the chat, into Corey's channel. Corey is a daytime YouTuber for GameStop. He's a good, cool cat. You know, what I've learned about Corey is the same thing I learned about others over these last 5 years, and, you know, my whole life, the last 25 years, is, you know, my employees are not me. The viewers of this channel are not me. And I have to be okay with that. I take things personal, or I used to take things personal, where I would be like, they're talking about me, or they're attacking me. And a lot of people don't know me to attack me, or don't know me to say those things. And I would say the same thing about Corey. A lot of people don't know who he is. So I wanted to go in there and just show him a little shine and be like, you know, Corey, I appreciate what you're doing, even streaming about GameStop in the daytime like that. And he's not a fake. You know, the thing about Corey is he's not like Jeremy. Jeremy's a straight grifter, bandwagon. Well, let me get him in here and let me make some videos about GameStop because now it's the hot thing to do. Yeah, it's easy to do that when we're up. It's easy to have analysts when we're up and to talk about the growth. And when you don't understand the growth, Jeremy, and you do this for a living allegedly, it blows my mind. And when you miss targets by like billions and hundreds of millions, I would never pay for that kind of analysis. But you don't have to pay for it. It's here. It's free. And I've been doing this when it was hard. My wife talked to me about it today. She's like, man, I can't believe you used to live stream to no one. And you used to talk to the wind and no one would listen. I go, it's the same. It doesn't change. And I had this confirmation today. I had like this calming voice come over me because I finally was watching Carter's show today. I was watching I was watching Corey's show. And I want to play this clip for you. I'm just going to play the audio. I'm not even going to play the video itself. But this audio should do it justice. Go ahead and listen to Larry Chang, who is on the board of directors for GameStop. This is what he has to say when they asked him a question.
What do you think are some of the standout qualities of a great investor?
Sorry, standout qualities of a great founder, investor?
Investor, not founder.
Oh,
investor.
yeah. Oh, investor. Oh, okay, gosh. You know, I've thought about this, and I think Peter Thiel said something along these lines, which I very much agree with, which is the capacity to look stupid for a long period of time until hopefully you're right. Like that's the quality of a great investor. I mean, if you think about it, to have a disproportionate outcome, you probably need two things to be true. You probably need to have an original perspective, because if you don't, then it's a commodity perspective. So you need to see something that others don't see. And by original, that literally means like no one else in the room has your perspective, which is hard to do, or no one else in your market or your asset class. And the other quality is, to pair with originality, is you need to be willing to be contrarian. Meaning, if you told everyone in the room your original perspective, not only would they not have it, they would think it's stupid. and that is the reaction. And then you need to be able to persist in that space until your thesis plays out to be correct. And the reality is most people are not wired that way. And if you're not wired that way as an investor, then what you're going to end up doing is investing in things that are unoriginal, that are non-contrarian, and that is not how you generate disproportionate returns. And the reality is, if you are original and contrarian, a couple things could happen. One is you could be completely wrong, and everyone who thought you were stupid is correct. And that makes it hard to come back and be original contrarian again. Or you could be right. And not to overemphasize something like SpaceX, but if Elon Musk sat in a room of investors 20 years ago and said, listen, I want to colonize Mars, that would have been original and contrarian. If someone said 20 years ago that a primary mode of transportation will be you getting into the vehicle driven by a stranger, that would have been original and contrarian.
Or sleeping in their home.
Or sleeping in their home. And so you need to be able to sit in that space where the world doubts you, if not even mocks you, and persist through it. That's what a good investor can do.
There you go. All right. So unfortunately, my wife brought me dinner right now. We cooked dinner together. So she made homemade beans, rice. Let's see what we got here. Beans, rice. She put her chile on there. Homemade potato salad right here. And then the meat has the guac on top. But the meat, if you're looking at it here, this is like the best carne asada meat you're ever going to eat in your life. And then homemade tortillas to go with it. So I cannot complain about life right now. Is GameStop great? Yeah. This food's even better, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to do something while I eat, because I'm not going to put myself on the screen for you guys. I'll be right back while I eat. I apologize, but I have to find you another clip to play. Or you know what we'll do? We'll do this. I know what to do. Hello. I'll be right back. We can do we got some good people out here. Oh, hear me out. I'm starting to think about this GameStop eBay thing for real. Oh, okay, let's hear this out.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth Flip, where I could make a 2-hour video today and probably still not say everything that I want to say with what's going on in the reselling world. We're going to try to narrow it down. I promise it won't be 2 hours. I got to ship a bunch of stuff. Speaking of, we got 17 items headed out of here for about $1,200 gross in sales in the middle of the summer. That's not too bad. I will take it for sure. But a couple really interesting topics, and a lot of people are seeing now the light is being shown on what's been going on at eBay essentially for years, with this whole Ryan Cohen GameStop thing. There's another interview he did with Rally Roots, and there were some interesting things that really aligned with some of the things that I have been screaming from the rooftops for quite a while right now. I want to tie some of those together because some of this will affect you. Some of what he has said even This is not a hit piece on him at all by any stretch. You'll see that throughout the video. So much of what he says is spot on. And then some things you got to read between the lines, because if this occurs, and really even if it doesn't occur, some resellers are going to find themselves kind of out in the cold. And some resellers, if they read between these lines, are going to be in a wonderful position to continue to do what they love. Speaking of what they love and what I love, let's look at some of these sales and talk about these topics. I'll tell you what, right off the bat, first of all, if you haven't seen this, go check it out over on Ryan and Allie's channel, Rally Roots. And this is, he's done a few interviews right now with resellers themselves, which I think was a really smart idea. Kind of gives you a little insight, but there's just one thing, and if I don't say it now, I'll forget it. And it has to do with one of the, Allie was asking some personal questions and some different stuff like that, and it really exposed a couple things about Ryan that really make a bigger point about what's going on at eBay and the way that he thinks it should be run, for instance. And I want to talk about that in just a second, but let's talk about this Barbie Millennium Edition. This is why I never bought Barbies forever, because this stuff just isn't worth very much money. And then I was running across ones where I was getting $20, $30, $40 for and picking them up super cheap, and I'm like, I'll start buying them. But this one is not one of those. But when you buy in lots, sometimes you get some losers. This one's $10 plus shipping. Not really worth the money for the trouble, but I kind of like to cut up boxes. I enjoy making the right size box for something like that. She asked him a question, something along the lines of, what gets you out of bed in the morning? And she framed it much better than I just did. But his answer to the question was, he was a little taken aback by the question for a second. He's like, well, I didn't expect that. He didn't have an answer at the tip of his tongue. But as you watch his answer there and just see the whole discussion, there's a passion for him for seeing a vision of something that could be, that isn't. And he figures he can solve this problem. And it's because it's just what he does. It reminds me of myself, to be perfectly honest with you, on a much smaller scale. I've often said on this channel, I can't literally build things. I'm not an artist. I'm not a musician. I'm not whatever. But I feel like I see things different than a lot of folks do, and I see exactly what he's talking about. And it's like, man, if this, then this, and you just want to do it. And that is, in my opinion, what is really lacking over at eBay, and where they have fallen behind. He talked about the secondary markets just growing like this, and eBay's like this. And he's 100% right about that. As you know, I'm an old history teacher. I love Proverbs. And from all cultures. I have a particular affinity to Mongol proverbs. They're always interesting. This one happens to come from the Bible. Proverbs, I don't even know the verse or the number, but where there is no vision, the people perish. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing in some ways. What is the vision? Where is the growth on eBay? I want to talk about that. I got to find the right ball in here. Had to dig a minute, but ironically, this kind of ties into one of the things I want to talk about here in a minute. This is signed to Major League Baseball, Andre Ethier. Not a major star, and retired at this point, but still sold for $23.50 plus shipping on that one. This is kind of the way I want to frame this. I've been seeing these things that he is now talking about for quite some time, as have some of you out there, and I've been trying to come up with micro solutions that fit me to what is going on, because the facts remain the same. The secondary market, sale of secondary goods, not just secondary, but in general, that's what we do, is just growing leaps and bounds, and has been for some time. So much opportunity, big business is trying to get involved, and I want to talk about that in particular. But I've been trying to solve it for me on a micro level, because there's been concerns with overhead and price pressures and fees and different things like that, competition as well, logistics, all kinds of things that I am trying to solve on a micro level. He's envisioning something that is much bigger on a macro level that actually solves micro problems at a macro level. Like, for instance, he's talked about quick liquidity for people, and that'll be one of the major topics that we talk about. I want to be, on a micro sense in my area, a solution for liquidity for people. And you're going to see more and more of it. Some of it I have not even talked about yet in the coming days. And I've been encouraging people very slowly and giving bits and pieces to people, because the reselling world is changing. And I'm not wedded to, a vision from Ryan Cohen or GameStop or from whatnot or from the eBay brass or from any of those people. My concern is reselling. My concern, my constituency, if you will, is you. And that's the way I want to talk to you about it. I don't want to talk about it in big terms, but I do want you to see that if you read between the lines, there are moves we need to make to keep ourselves not just in the game, but growing. So here's a Barbie that's a little bit better. You know, I'm into these roughly for about $4 a piece, and that's not really worth it. This one is, however, 4 into $37.55 Renaissance Barbie plus shipping. I know a lot of folks are probably saying, why are you doing this video? Or what, you know, why all these interviews? This isn't going to happen. The numbers aren't whatever. Listen, he said one thing I think is really interesting, and then I'll make the point why I think this is still an amazing topic, regardless of what happens. He said, whatever it takes, it's going to happen. I'm like, well, that's some confidence, right? And he's appearing. There's no need for him, unless there's some ulterior motive we don't know about. There's no need for him to go on reselling channels. And to make his appeal to me and you, he does realize something. I think that some at eBay, not all, I've met some of those folks over there, have really lost that we truly are the customer. And now with all the competition that, in my opinion, eBay there's going to be competition always, especially in a growing market. When Cohen says something like, there shouldn't be any competition in this space, eBay should have gobbled it all up. I kind of agree with that, but in the reality, this market's growing so much and technology is changing, there's going to be competition. But certainly, eBay's market share should not have shrunk as much as it has. And part of that has to do with exactly what he's talking about. They have lost the idea that we are the customers. In their business, we are the customers. I realize buyers are the customers. Without buyers, there's no sellers. Without sellers, there's no buyers. All chicken and egg kind of stuff. But right now, me and you are the customers. You have to make yourself very appealing with the way you do things and give yourself options in order to continue to be the customer and to make the best choices.
It's a great video there. It's a Commonwealth flipper. He's a good guy. He means well. And I want to talk to you guys. Excuse me. Now that dinner's done, I apologize for that. I live my life in front of you, and I can't map out my day to break away. So I apologize. But here's what we're going to do. For one, we're going to theorize on the annual shareholders meeting, the outcome of that. The next thing is, I want to associate what Larry Chang said about us being investors and what it takes to be this GameStop investor. I want to break down that video piece by piece.
What do you think are...
And as I break this down, you guys can...
What do you think are some of...
let me do it this way. There we go. As I break this down, you guys will understand where we're at right now. Where I'm at. I'll just talk about me. I won't talk about you so much. And what I mean by that is I can't assume sorry, that you guys are me. That's what I cannot do. Because my conviction is beyond what the world deems possible. Can I tell you guys something? Something that's out of body experience for me when it comes to GameStop. Why I might be so different than you, and whatever it may be. It has a lot to do with religion, okay? And this is a part of being in a cult that it's jovial, it's playful, but it's that direct. And it's a matter of fact, and I'll explain this to you. I have a belief in GameStop that's well beyond anyone else's. Maybe even Ryan. Right, I would only think Ryan Cohen has the bigger, best belief than I do. Except I'm all in on to a point where I say, okay, this is what I factually believe in. When you think about religion, there are people that are believers. Okay, there are people that are Bible thumpers. There are people that go to church every Sunday. They're mass. They do mass all the time. They do youth night on Wednesdays. There are people that are around the clock believe in the faith, which is awesome. Everyone has their own religion, and then they all pray, and then they all feel good about themselves. But what it really is, it's a moral compass for the way you should lead your life. Awesome. Got it. Some people believe that. Some people work on that. Some people are all in on that. Some people are not. They half step. Do you know what makes people believers? When something outside of the norm happens, something that you thought was not possible, it happens. You say, holy hell, God is real. Oh my God, this is a miracle. And I had little things happen to me in the past, and I told you guys that I knew this was supposed to happen this way. Things are supposed to be the way they are because you're right where God wants you to be. Well, in this investment for GameStop, I'm right where God wants me to be. And I'm letting it happen. I'm not fighting it. I went to a chat today. I went to Corey's chat. Corey, small channel on YouTube, had 100 people in there. We're feeling good, watching the annual shareholders meeting, and I'm just listening. And yeah, I typed to him, and I was the first one to text. And then, you know what? When it was just he and I, one-on-one in the room, no one else is there, just he and I, he said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And I said, I'm here to watch the annual shareholders meeting, and I'm thankful that you're putting it on." And he could have snapped, and he could have he could have been whoever he wanted to be at that moment. And he literally just goes, "Well, all right, bro. Thanks for the support." That was it. He took it like a champ. And that made me feel so good that I was like, you know what? This kid is probably getting there. He's probably getting to the moment. Because just a week ago, he was off. He was off his rocker. He was over the mountain. He deleted the video, which I understand. We've all said things and done things in our youth that we wish we could take back, or we didn't see the bigger picture. But it's more about pushing through when everyone's against you, or when the outcome's not the same, or it's just not happening for you. You might apply for a job 100 times all over the place, and no one's calling you back for a review, for an interview or anything. And you might think, you know what, this market's terrible, I just can't do it. No, you weren't meant for that job. You're meant for the next one. You're meant for the one you get. And Corey, you're meant for the example and the experience that you're going to put out for GameStop investors. You were there this morning, and people went and they gravitated towards it, and they were happy to see it. You know, Corey's the only one that actually typed in a question onto the investor relations page, and that's the question that they answered and asked during the annual shareholders meeting. Corey. So shout out to Corey for asking the question. And the question was, are they going to redo Ryan Cohen's compensation package after they acquire eBay? It's a valid question. But shout out to Corey for getting that light. He's a real guy. He's a real investor. He's not one of these dudes. And you know what? Maybe Corey does want to make it. Maybe Corey wants to make it big on YouTube. Maybe that's his dream. And maybe he thinks, you know what? If he just sticks with the GameStop and it pops, then maybe he's going to become something bigger than all of us. And we don't know who would ever get anointed, whether it be Carter's Corner Pocket, Corey, and or even Jeremy. I would just tell you, you have to be happy for whomever rides this the whole way. I'm not against anybody. I look at people differently for different reasons. I read people very well. That's why when I read people, I say, I'm good. But to see what Corey was doing today, and I'll always support that. I'll always support someone who's going to keep fighting and keep trying to better themselves. So that's enough of that. Let's get back to the real thing. First things up. Excuse me. It's going to be this interview.
The standout qualities of a great investor.
Sorry, standout qualities of a great founder, investor?
Investor, not founder.
Oh,
investor.
yeah. Oh, investor. Oh, okay, gosh. You know, I've thought about this, and I think Peter Thiel said something along these lines, which I very much agree with, which is the capacity to look stupid for a long period of time until hopefully you're right. Like that's the quality.
So that's the quality of a great investor, according to Larry Chang, is to look stupid. Or the ability and the willingness to be the guy who they say, you don't know what you're talking about, you're wrong, you're dumb, you're making the wrong investment. And to have, he uses a phrase, it's a disproportionate amount, right? You'll hear him right now.
Quality of a great investor. I mean, if you think about it, to have a disproportionate outcome.
That disproportionate outcome is an outcome. The meaning of that is to have an outcome that is unexpected and or so one way that it's outside the norm, right? It's just not what people would ever expect. If you really want to have that type of outcome, you have to have a belief that no one else does. And you have to, the first thing is you have to imagine it. That's the first thing. Everything that's ever been built and made in this world was imagined. So if you can't imagine something, then you'll never build it and it'll never be built. You have to have that thought process. And in our case, Ryan Cohen is imagining a bigger company than what eBay is currently. He's imagining the largest market for commerce, period. And I think that he can do it. I think he can. I think he will. And the reason he will is because he's hungrier, younger, richer, all of the above, right? And that makes a difference. It really does. The rich part does, but the youthful hunger makes him different. And I'll tell you why. So you see people like Jeff Bezos, and you see the other marketplace people like, and you know, it's not hard to beat them out. And I'm going to explain. There's Amazon, Walmart, Costco. That's it. In the world of retail, those are the three fat cats. And you ask yourself, how do I beat them? How do I go above and beyond? Well, let's analyze. The Waltons, the royalty. There's nothing to analyze or beat. It's a government contract waiting to happen on all ends. That's Walmart. And that's all because of, even Trump's words this week. Amazon, Jeff Bezos, the creator and founder, is not a part of that day-to-day operation and company. The growth is no longer in his direction. And the reason why is because he's so rich, he doesn't have to. It's mind-boggling how rich he is. Literally on paper, if not. But Jeff Bezos doesn't have to grind out that way, that hard. Jim Sinegal stepped down from Costco. He created Costco with Jeff Brockman. And Jeff died, passed away, I believe in 2015, 2014. 2015, I believe. I can't remember. But Jim Sinegal is just walking around. Created something worth a couple of $billion, but the passion's not there from him. That's why they hire trophies for CEOs at Costco. Trophies. People that have been around for a very long time with the company, long in the tooth, stick with what works, don't rock the boat, and let it keep growing the way it has. Now, it's overgrown at this moment in time. They're opening up a new one in Downey. What the hell would you need one in LA for? LA's packed. And so is the property. But it's all about optics. You want to look like you're growing. You want to look like you're opening new buildings and you're hiring more employees and keep stretching. Then you look at margins and you go, wait a minute. It's going to take forever for this company to grow. The accelerated rate of growth comes from commerce, e-commerce. Because when you're looking at GameStop, and you're saying to yourself, Ryan Cohen is the main investor. Ryan Cohen is the believer that he's imagining something big. Here's the part, and I'm going to break it down too because we're just watching this guy talk about it. But before we get back into you, Larry, listen to what they're telling you guys. Ryan Cohen understands that the sellers are the inventory. They're the product. He is going down and doing these interviews to people to talk about what he would do different with GameStop or with eBay. Maybe because he knows he's going to be in that position. Why would you pick and choose people at eBay, random sellers on YouTube? Why would you go do those interviews? Is it to influence shareholders? They're not shareholders. Shareholders of eBay are not even watching these damn interviews. Or are you trying to find the core reason of it all and then finding the product itself to believe in you? You see, if I were going to talk to employees, man, this is so real. When you get hired, guys, when you get hired at a company and you're going to take it over, you're going to be the main person in charge. The best thing you could ever do is to be a fly on the wall for weeks, if not months. And you get to breathe in the culture of the company. You get to see it from a different viewpoint. and you get to understand the shortcomings and what people would want to have happen if anyone else were in charge. Before you ever give yourself a title, before you ever give yourself responsibility, you should eat, sleep, and breathe it. Then you'll have a better understanding, and then your learning curve will be accelerated. This is what Ryan was doing with GameStop. He was on the outside looking in. He was like, okay, let me see what else we're doing here. Then he had to jump in. And I love the way he's systematically going about eBay, taking his time to understand the business. See, he doesn't have to have all the answers, because I don't think people, like even these resellers, really understand that it's not even about their products. It has nothing to do with that, guys. The reason we're buying eBay and the reason we see the bigger picture is because we know the connection between collectibles, reselling margins, and the profit that you could make if you did run it. He doesn't love video games, and I'm telling you right now, he doesn't give a shit about auto parts and women's apparel and what they sell online. None of that. But he's going to make systems. He's going to build something that's frictionless, that's going to work better for this inventory. And people don't think what I'm talking. The inventory is the people. The people are the inventory. And as long as they're reselling and they're doing their deals, eBay's going to benefit from that. Cutting up the books and making it look better on the sheet, that's just a byproduct of having a cutthroat operator. That's a good thing. People would try to say that's bad. Like they try to paint him out to be a bad. He just cut everything at GameStop and fired people. Yeah, maybe that's what needs to happen. But you won't know until you get in the room and you figure out what's really going on. But we'll also talk about that too. Oh, God, there's so much about the annual shareholders meeting that people need to understand about 2.5 billion shares and what that means. But let's get back to this.
You probably need two things to be true. You probably need to have an original perspective, because if you don't, then it's a commodity perspective. So you need to see something that others don't see. And by original, that literally means like no one else in the room has your perspective, which is hard to do, or no one else in your market or your asset class. And the other quality is, to pair with originality, is you need to be willing to be contrarian.
So I want you guys to think about it like this. What he's doing, what he's saying. You have to have an original idea. I give you a case of an original idea. You could be a retailer and you can go in there and fight with video games and hardware and collectibles and, stuffed animals and whatever help, Funko Pops. Or you can say, you know what, we're going to make a full commitment to collectibles and trading cards. And we're going to do more than just buy trading cards and sell trading cards and boxes of cards. We're going to go partner up with PSA. Well, what do you mean, Marantz? Well, we're going to buy the cards and we're going to sell them on our website. You could do that. Think bigger. What would be bigger? Well, we could sell the cards and we could get them graded. We could be the hub to everywhere in America for PSA graded cards. Bring them in. You want to get your stuff graded, bring it here and we'll ship it out for you. Now, it's going to take you about a year or two before PSA figures out that they're not big enough. They cannot handle what GameStop's bringing. Then the local card shops are going to get bled out. They're all going to get bled out because the pricing's going to be equivalent. And you slowly capture that market cap, the addressable market cap of that same said category, and you roll with it for the next year. And the next year you annualize on that number and that growth, and you make it better. You think outside the box. You get bigger. Oh, you know what? We're going to do physical power packs. We're going to do more than that. We're going to go to every card show, and we're going to buy every slab they have to offer. All of them. Because it doesn't matter what you pay for them. It's how many times they're going to spin that machine over there at power packs. The rumor is that I was reading was that GameStop was going to card shows and buying all the slabs. Every single one that people had to sell, and GameStop had the cash to do it. And the cash they have it's not like what you guys think. You don't need more than around $10 million of the inventory, and you could churn that 40 to 50 times a month on power packs. $10 million of revenue of inventory would rotate around 10x. Easy. If you understand the business model. The new narrative right now that's being pushed out is GameStop's allowing gambling on their website. Buying trading cards is gambling. Like this is some new idea. No, the hardest part is when you buy a trading card, the hardest part, your whole life, has been you could say what it's worth. How do you go get that value? How do you get cash for it? You can't. You're going to go to a trade show. They're going to come in. I'll buy it for 80%. They're not going to buy it for what it's worth. The fact that GameStop has a way to find value, create value, give you worth, now it's the ultimate commerce site. And that's just for this one category. But people have to know eBay is the monster in this category of reselling. I think GameStop figured this out. We can create better margins, more profit. We just have to own eBay. We just have to own TCG. We just have to own Golden. We just have to own everything. And that's what we're going to do. We're buying eBay for these reasons, guys. We're not buying eBay to sell bicycles or paper shredders. Whatever the hell you think that they're going to... I mean, I went on eBay today, and I don't know if I sent the screenshot in the Discord, but I took a picture. Here, look at it. You think I'm just saying it? I went to eBay today, and I took a picture today. Let's see. Yeah. I wonder if you guys can see this. I took a picture of that. And the picture I took, if you guys don't know what that means, it's how many people are on eBay Live right now with the best card sellers out there. Pokemon, rippers. Nobody had more than 50 people. I've got more than that right now. Isn't that crazy? eBay couldn't figure that out. They don't know how to do live. They don't know how to get people to their website. GameStop does. So my point of this whole thing is you have to think outside the box. You got to dream a little bigger. You're never going to know the route you're ever really going to end up at if you just think inside the lines of, well, here's what I'm allowed to do.
Meaning, if you told everyone in the room your original perspective, not only would they not have it, they would think it's stupid. and that is the reaction. And then you need to be able to persist in that space until your thesis plays out to be correct. And the reality is most people are not wired that way. And if you're not wired that way as an investor, then what you're going to end up doing is investing in things that are unoriginal, that are non-contrarian, and that is not how you generate disproportionate returns. And the reality is if you are original and contrarian, a couple of things could happen. One is you could be completely wrong, and everyone who thought you were stupid is correct. And that makes it hard to come back and be original and contrarian again. Or you could be right. And not to overemphasize something like SpaceX, but if Elon Musk sat in a room of investors 20 years ago and said, listen, I want to colonize Mars, that would have been original and contrarian. If someone said 20 years ago that a primary mode of transportation will be you getting into the vehicle driven by a stranger, that would have been original and contrarian.
Or sleeping in their home.
Or sleeping in their home. And so you need to be able to sit in that space where the world doubts you, if not even mocks you, and persist through it. That's what a good investor can do.
Yeah, I hear it. The part where he said you can be right or you can be wrong. Those are the two outcomes, guys.
What do you think are some of
the two outcomes are we can either be right on this investment or we can be wrong. That's a 50-50. That's not bad. That's better than the odds, Wall Street gives GameStop. Let's talk about this really quick. So GameStop, during the annual shareholders meeting, allowed and/or proposed that they would be authorized to issue 2.5 billion shares from the coffers at any given time if they choose to. That would be the total float. Authorization of up to 2.5 billion shares. Right away, people want to paint that out as dilution. It's not dilution. That's a safety net. That's a security. That is a tool. And it's a way of manufacturing the outcome they're looking for. But, I gave the point that eBay has 3.59. It's 3.58. 3.5 billion shares available to distribute. They've only distributed 450 million. So, yeah, just because you have the ability to issue that many shares, let's go to SpaceX. SpaceX has 13 billion shares. They've issued to the public 555 million. Their bylaws state that they can issue up to 53 billion shares. So is that going to be an issue for investors, and they're going to think it's dilution? No, it's not. That's not what it's going to be. So the FUD's there. The fear is there, I guess. I'm not uncertain about this, and I have zero doubt in GameStop. But I want to play out this theory of mine that I have. One, GameStop can use these shares now. Now they have the ability to issue and fold in like they would for eBay. That was never a concern for me. But here's what I would like to see happen. You see, investing money in a acquisition of eBay would not be investing money into eBay. I want to make that very clear. This is where the identity crisis is happening on Wall Street and in the world of M&A and wannabe analysts around here. When they say we got $20 billion for eBay, no, you don't. You have $20 billion of a highly confident letter from TD Securities of money that is ready to invest into GameStop. That's what you have. Because eBay will not exist as its own. It will be GameStop. It will be within GameStop. It would be underneath the umbrella of GameStop. So let's get that out there right now. The $20 billion sitting at TD Securities is GameStop's investment. That means, just so that we're very clear, America, there's $20 billion on the sideline for GameStop. Then you need to add the 10 they currently have. That's $30 billion. I'll let you figure out what the market cap is and the value, but per share, that's about $60. That's what that does for you. GameStop could technically, this is my plan that I see it happening, the way I would want it to happen. Not that it's going to happen this way, but I'm not afraid of this happening. Of them doing an ATM or some type of bond where they allow people to invest money into GameStop for the same said shares that they just made themselves available for. What would be the problem with that? They would sell their own shares. Oh, they would be diluting, Marantz. No. You see, this whole thing about diluting is ridiculous, man. What if the stock price is $20? Here, let's all do the math together. What if the stock price is $20 and they issue $2.5 billion total float? That would be a $50 billion market cap. Can you find somebody to buy it at $20 a piece? Yeah. I can find somebody to buy it at $20 a piece. Matter of fact, they got $20 billion for it. Somebody's willing to buy it at these levels. Now, there's a lot of bylaws. There's a lot of issues with that. Who's in control, who owns the percentage of ownership. I understand all of that part. What I'm telling you is, in my recent history with Ryan Cohen over the last 1,974 days that I've been invested into this investment, he's always had somebody ready to go. Made shares available, did certain things, and then here we go with an announcement. Comes. If you want to get to $32, that's too easy. We just need $5 billion more on the balance sheet. That's an easy one. You want to go get $5 billion? We've got it. What would you have to sell? How much would you have to sell? 200 million shares? 2.5 billion share, 2.5, what is it going to be? Yeah, it's going to be like 250 million. So, yeah, if it was going to be like that at $20 a piece, yeah, 250 million shares. We could sell it. We could do it right now. Apparently, they have somebody who's ready to invest. The reason why I tell it to you like this, guys, is because it's like people are forgetting that GameStop's about to buy eBay. Therefore, their value that they're actually going to get out of that acquisition would show up on their asset sheet. And how could you deny GameStop a market cap that they're inherently purchasing? They're going to buy something for $30 billion. How do you not give them a $30 billion valuation? They don't lose money. They're not on the bottom side of it. They're on the top side of it. It's called goodwill. You would buy something and you would instantly get goodwill on your sheet. Then you would take your assets, you would minus the liabilities, and what will you end up? Let's do EPS. Let's do that for a second. Right now, they're tracking a 174 on basic EPS. Comes down to 130 something plus, $1.30 something plus on the actual dilutive EPS. That's only going to go up to $2 more. It's going to go up $2 on GameStop sheet. When you throw in eBay with it, where do you end up? $10? $10 after 1 year. $10 a share? Well, Marantz, they're going to increase the float. It's not going to be that much. Oh, okay. I'll let you start doing the math. Remember, I'm saying these numbers. Remember, I'm telling you this is what the totals are. Just remember it. Because there are so many ways to use these shares to leverage eBay out of their spot. But it's very attractive and it's very credible, eBay. That's the point I'm making tonight. You now have the ammunition to go after what you want. And they can't say you can't do it. How could you do it? What would you do? It's real simple. I have all these shares. Then I have TD Securities willing to invest $20 billion into our company for these shares. Now what are they worth? If I get that $20 billion and put it on our sheet, what are we worth? I don't care what the float is. The market cap is there. We now have a market cap that warrants the S&P 500. What do you do then? Very simple. Go look at the S&P 500 by weight and ask yourself, how much would we get in with and how heavy would we start being if we started moving up? We haven't moved in 2 years, guys. I've done this. Excuse me. I've done this dance before. And it's a great dance. It's just believing in something, man. It's just really believing in it and not letting it go. And when they tell you you're wrong, you just pray for them. You pray for them because it's not going to be an indictment on you. I've got to pray for you guys, you naysayers and you doubters of me. Because when you see me win, when you see me walk across the finish line, when you see me walk up with my chin up, my shoulders back, when you see me walking proud, because what we did here, that's going to be the kryptonite to you. Watching other people have success is going to crumble you because you haven't been humbled yet. Nope. The bulk of people that attack you online, the bulk of people that are against GameStop, the kids never lived through this. They ain't grind through this. They only know TikTok, Hot Pockets, and Fortnite. That's all they know. They wouldn't know what it means to go knock on a door and ask if so-and-so can come outside and play. They don't know the real thing. That's why they all have their heads down in their tablets. Where they say things like, I'll give you this a case. They'll say something like, why would I do that if I don't have to put up with it? I don't want to put myself through a hard time. I can control the outcome. I'll take the easy way. What? You mean to tell me you don't want to go against the current? You don't want to work against resistance? Huh. What are you trying to do? Well, I'm trying to be successful and make a lot of money in this world. Oh, good. But you don't want to work. You don't want to sweat. You don't want to get dirty. This is a hard grind. I get it. Mentally, physically, it costs me nothing to hold. I lose nothing. Shit happened today. The announcement comes out. There was people in the chat, in Corey's chat, there were people saying, oh, man, I got to let this go. I got to get out of here. I'm looking for an exit. There's no mo ass here. No short squeeze. We're out of here. Okay, then go. I don't need the squeeze you think you do. I don't need it. I think 16% short on a for sure thing on a company that's up $1 billion, I think that's a problem. I think shorting GameStop at $22 is a problem. I think we go nowhere but up. My opinion, of course. But, hey. It gets better. It gets better. Guys, we have a timeline. You guys that own warrants, you guys are trying to figure out if Ryan's going to extend the warrants, if they're going to expire worthless, or that it's a fear for some of you. I sold my warrants. I don't think warrants are, for my risk tolerance, it wasn't there. They gave me that money, and I did what every good investor should do. I took that money and invested it back into the company. I bought more GameStop shares. So after warrants were distributed this year, I had so much conviction that I bought an additional $30,000 worth of GameStop. There are times in my day, in my week, in my month, and so far in my year, where I would personally benefit from having that $30,000 cash that I spent in October and November on this investment. I didn't spend it. I invested it. It's still there. I still have it. And I think about it because I think about what I'm willing to endure to Diamond Hand to not sell my shares. I don't have the cleanest bill of health. I don't have all the working things that I need. I don't have new clothes. I don't have new shoes. I go days with struggle. I took a packet of Ritz crackers with me today, and that was my snack. I agree with Larry Chang. You got to be contrarian, and you got to think outside the box, and you got to be willing to be wrong, and you got to be willing to be told that you're an idiot, or maybe you don't know what you're doing. And that's all true. It's when you start believing it becomes an issue. I believe in GameStop. I believe in Ryan Cohen. But the real thing is, at the end of it all, I believe in myself. And by believing in myself, that means I believe in you. This is what it takes, guys. Get up every night, come watch the show, come find out what's going on. They approved the shares. The float can increase. It's not increasing tomorrow. Ryan could announce he has, a sovereign wealth fund that's going to invest and or manage this. He's going to manage it. He's going to invest more of his money. As you know, he owns over $1 billion of Alibaba stock. He owns the most Apple stock, which blows my mind is when people say that he doesn't own enough Apple to make a difference. I think and they tell me he's only worth $5 billion. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. I think I got to go do that homework on Apple really quick. Let me see if I can figure this out just while we're here. How much Apple stock does Ryan Cohen own? Let's see what it says. It says here, Ryan, while he famously disclosed a $550 million position of $6.2 million split adjusted shares. I don't understand what that means. After selling any public holdings or as form insider holding. Well, he doesn't have to file in recent years. He doesn't have to file what it is. Historic share count. His Apple position consisted of 1.5 million shares, which translates to 6.2 million shares today. But because he doesn't own 5%, he doesn't have to publicly disclose. Awesome. So he owns 6.2 million shares. The price of Apple today, price of Apple is $310. So 310 times 6 2. So it's about $2 billion worth of Apple. So $2 billion on Apple, $1 billion on Alibaba, and $1 billion on GameStop, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, maybe it is $5 billion. Who knows? Owns eBay too. Don't get me wrong. That's pretty good. Is it time to sell Apple at the top? Sell it at 310, Ryan? Buy eBay? Buy GameStop? Makes you wonder. Makes you wonder if he's taking money off the table. You know, Bank of America published today on Twitter. They said it might be time to take profits when they're promoting that over. And I saw Japan was folding. I saw all the other markets were folding because it looks like it's a 97% chance that Japan's going to increase interest rates. It means people are going to get margin called on that percentage. Like the amount of money that's owed over there, that's owned over there via U.S. Treasuries. They're selling them all off allegedly. I don't know. I don't care to know. Nor do I want to pay attention to the bond market and see if we can go up over 5% on the 10-year and the 2-year. That would be devastating. But the more money you have invested into marketable securities and short-term securities, the bigger return you would get. The more money that goes into those markets, just so we're clear, if people are not understanding the rotation out of S&P, you would rotate out of the stock market and into the bond market if bonds are going to give you that big of a return in the near future. That's why you would raise interest rates, and that's why people would know it would tank the economy. The stock market would sell off. Everyone would go take the safe 5% instead of battling out here in the Never Land. And it's a race to the exits because everyone will try to get in there and protect themselves rather than trying to play this game out here. This game out here is going to get rough. Maybe not this year. Maybe it's at the end of this year, but like SpaceX joined the NASDAQ. They got inclusion, fastest in the history of anything because they accelerated that. They bent the rules for them to get in. And why? Because they're propping up the market. They're propping up any vehicle to hold up against the GameStop short. I'm a believer in this. I'm a believer in this because, listen, guys, there's going to be people out there that say that we're full of shit or we don't know what we're talking about when we say that everything's against GameStop. I'm going to tell you everything has gone up and GameStop hasn't. That's a problem. That's a hiding it in plain sight. You cannot let GameStop go up and something come down because the one things or the 2 or 3, 4, 5 things that end up coming down, they're going to show you what's really the problem. And this was the problem with the banks closing out. I know that because I can uncovered that the new GameStop ETF, the one that was just introduced yesterday, has direct ties to SVB, Silicon Valley Bank. If you looked at Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic Bank and Signature Bank when they all folded in 2023, it was due to SPACs. It was all SPAC money that was having to give back. And if you knew what happened to interest rates that year, 2022 to 2023, they increased and elevated fast, quickly, so much that it clipped people at the knees. Well, it looks like we're going to have a repeat of this. We're going to have a rinse and repeat. For whatever reason, the market cannot withstand a rate increase. They cannot do it. They will not survive this rate increase. So either we're ready to commit this murder, allegedly and figuratively, or the markets are not going to let it happen just yet. There are people out there that are betting against GameStop. There are people out there that tell you it's not going to happen this way. I mean, I had to read all this today in Corey's chat. And I was like, wow, you can go look at like Jeremy's chat. No one's attacking him. They're attacking Corey. Why? Because Corey's spitting truth? What is that kid? How's that kid rub you wrong? I don't understand that. And so shout out to Carter. I'm sorry, Carter, I didn't get to your live stream fast enough. I didn't know you were live. I was over there hanging out with Corey. But it's awesome whenever you see people that have similar ideas or like minds, because then it just shows you that you're not walking with, mass media or the manipulated sheep. That's what they are. They're all cattle right now. They're going to get taken to the slaughter. They really are. There's going to be people out here that tell you SpaceX and crypto and all the Mag 7, all those things, it's the start of AI, all this talk that they want to talk about. But the money has circulated from semiconductors to storage and memory to software to data to AI themselves to the chips. I mean, it's gone to every single like mid sector. Like it's been carved out. It has not swung over to financials. It has not swung over to energy. It has not gone to real estate. It has not gone to healthcare. It hasn't gone to the sectors that you'd be like, and certainly not consumer discretionary. So if it's not going over there and it's just playing on that side of the field into tech and the hyperscalers, well, that means everyone's on the same page. Everyone's in lockstep. And as you just heard Larry Chang say, when everyone's doing one thing, you should really be careful and try to attempt to do something different. So we could talk in detail about GameStop and eBay and that whole market. I'm talking on a macro viewprint of this market. Something's not adding up. And the one thing that's not adding up is the one thing that has not moved, even though their fundamentals have increased. And it wasn't like it's a 10% increase or a 20% increase. It was thousands of percent increase on multiple variables. So if we have all these measurables for investing and for valuation, and you see something come across the screen and it says GameStop finally made a profit this year of $6.7 million. For the whole year, they made $6 million. And it was news. It was, to us, it was earth-shattering because Yahoo made I don't know if you guys remember this, they did a whole report that said GameStop would never be gap positive. They would never be gap positive. They would never be positive off of operations, period. Never. The word was never. Then here they are. Then they're worth $6 million. Then the next narrative comes out and says, well, it's just because of interest. And it's just because of cuts. And it's just because of this, or it's just because of that. And I would be looking at the sheet and I'd say, well, that's not true. There's impairment charges. There's one times. This is adjusted. If you look at adjusted earnings, it's even higher. So you go another whole year with this FUD and this uncertainty. And then, you go a whole year with this and your stock goes nowhere. Your stock just goes sideways. And as your stock goes sideways, GameStop comes in and they make $131 million. From $6 million to $131, you would say that's an increase. That's a pattern. That's a plan. What are they doing? Well, they partnered up with PSA and they're selling cards online and they have a beta program called, Power Packs, and they're looking healthy. They're looking awesome. And they're still cutting stores and they're still polishing up and they're still doing great, but there are still some one-time expenses against them that won't have to be there. So adjusted EBITDA brings them in at 130, whatever it was. And there you go. So you went that whole year. That was 2024, 2025. This past year, GameStop comes out. They're done. Had an amazing year. They went ahead and made a run for it. They came in at $400+ million of profit. To go from 6 million to 131 to now 400 plus. And it's still the same narrative. It's still cost cutting. Still, they didn't do it themselves. It's just a natural byproduct of what they have going on. It's just reorganizing some stuff, but can't give them all the credit. And $400 million, well, 300 of that is interest. So it doesn't matter if they're only making $100-something million in ops. It's this. So then you go, well, wait a minute. What does it really cost to run GameStop? How much liabilities does it cost in a year? Oh, they have a revolving liability line of around $800 million. What do you mean to tell me $800 and $900 million what it costs to run this company? Yeah, for the most part. Okay, cool. What are their profits again? Their profits that they're coming in, net profits on the plus side of that, is now at $753 million. They're making more cash and value, period, than what it even costs to run the damn company. But yet they're not worth anything more than the $20 they were 3 years ago. They're the same price today. And then there's every YouTuber and Twitter and Redditor tell you, yeah, that's true. That's 100% fact that that's their value. It's $753 million. Then you go look at the line and you see companies that bring in the same amount of cash, the same amount of revenue, same amount of income, all of it. and they're getting valuations 30 billion, 40 billion, 50 billion, Wall Street, S&P 500 inclusion. Like, they're getting the red carpet rolled out because of these outcomes. GameStop per capita is making more. We're talking about per dollar per man hour, dollar per square foot. They're doing more than most with what they have. So they're going to come in over $1 billion. And it might even happen this quarter. Right now, they're going to be announcing coming up. The earnings comes out in September. They'll have an announcement in September, right before the warrants expire, a month before the warrants expire. And so we're working right now. We're grinding and we're doing our best, but we'll see how big of a turnaround this is. Disproportionate turnaround, according to Larry Chang, and what that means is it's more than the measured amount. That's the investment that you currently have, guys. So I wish you guys well. We're buying eBay. We already have eBay. We already own eBay. Brian's doing an amazing job, and he's getting in front of the camera and he's doing these interviews, but I think he's doing it from a canvassing standpoint. I don't think it has anything to do with, let me convince you why. It's more, he's already doing the job. This is the job that you would need to do. You couldn't go into eBay and say you're the problem solver and you can solve all the problems if you haven't talked about the product and or studied the processes and the company and the business. So there's a lot to take in. There's a lot to do in these interviews. I'm happy he's doing them, but I think they're being done for other reasons. So it's great. All right. It says here, Big Dog, you're greatly appreciated. I really appreciate that. You know, we're just doing our best. Thank you for all love and support of the show. As always, you guys, this is a big day for us. The biggest day I've ever had. And this day is that we are now officially in the prime position to acquire eBay. Now, who we offer these shares to, a lot of people think it's going to be eBay. I don't think it is eBay. I don't want it to be eBay. I would rather offer the shares to investors and use that position to leverage eBay out of theirs. Because it then becomes credible, right? If they're willing to buy GameStop shares and invest into GameStop, you could do nothing. A dollar into GameStop is a dollar into eBay, probably at a better rate. And that's what's happening. And for them to say, hey, we have $20 billion, I think there's $20 billion worth of investors that understand just how undervalued GameStop is. GameStop has sold itself. GameStop has explained its value proposition, and it's told its story 100 times. Ryan is the man. So if people have earmarked this money to come to Ryan and let Ryan manage it, then let that be the case. But I'd much rather buy GameStop shares at $20, do share buybacks of $2 billion worth at $20 than I would anything else, because that's the type of value and return you're going to get from GameStop. The fact that GameStop took $2 billion and earmarked it for share buybacks, did you listen to Larry Chang today? Larry Chang said that the number one reason why he loves Ryan and what they're doing at GameStop is that they are looking over everything on how to deploy capital and make a return. And they're exercising patience. So they're not in a rush to get there, and they know the value. If the best value on this market is not a GameStop share, show me. It has to be a GameStop share, because GameStop shares have not moved, and they have increased in value as far as, EPS and PE ratios and current ratio and book value. Every measurable that you constitute value to, GameStop outpaces everybody, certainly in the growth of those sectors. So, and those measurables. So that's why I see GameStop as being the best investment. And Ryan's so personal with his cash that he's willing to buy back the shares themselves. And they know that this is the greatest value. So let's do more buybacks. I'm going to buy more shares. You know that once I get my money figured out, I probably won't be able to buy not even $5 from now until September. That's how tight I have to live my life right now. I pray every night. I pray every day, every morning. And I don't pray for GameStop like that. I just pray that I stay in good health, that my wife and I get through this difficult time, and that we find happiness through it all. I told her this today. I said, we got to believe in each other before we ever ask anyone to believe in us. And because it can be very daunting, it can be hard, man. You go to the bank account, and the bank account gets smaller and smaller, and the bills never stop, and the crisis never ends, and these opportunities are far and few. So I always told you guys, man, you'd have to burn my hands and burn my legs before you ever get one GameStop share out of me. And this economy's tough. It's a tough world to live in. If you guys are overseas, a lot of you guys are overseas watching the show. We're almost at 8 million views now on this show. 8 million views is a number I never thought we'd hit. We're almost at 8 million views and 1 million hours viewed. I showed where the views come from, and everybody was laughing. But obviously, it's the U.S. and then it's Canada and the U.K. And shout out to the U.K. I'm inherently going for the U.K. at the World Cup now. I have to, because I thought Gordon was had such an impact, and he didn't even have to touch the ball, man. He just had an impact because of his speed. And I said, damn, they breed them different out there, huh? They're fast. So cheers to my native people, my English brothers and sisters. Big shots out to Argentina coming back 3-0, 3-0 in the last 10 minutes, basically. That was that changed a lot of people's world. They believe in God now, huh? Or they believe in outcomes that might not happen. Because when it does, when the tides turn, it becomes infectious. I could go on all night. I could talk about GameStop my whole life. I was making goals. There was this one year I was making goals at work. And they were like, make a list of your goals. And I was making them. And I just remember this man walking over to me. He's a very tall guy. His name was Tim Beeson. And Tim Beeson walked up to me and said, Marantz, you're going to be awesome at whatever you choose to do. But he said, just remember the goals you write down and the things you accomplish today. And they're going to seem so far out of reach, and they're going to seem like, distant, but it's going to happen quick. It's going to happen fast. And when you do accomplish them, just be so thankful that you're setting a new set of goals, and you're going to write those down, and the same thing's going to happen again. You live in this bubble right now, guys, where GameStop's a long investment. It's 5.5 years, 6 years for some, and we've been here for almost 2,000 days already. And yeah, it's that long and it's that hard. But this too will, be just another bullet point on your list of goals. And when it's done and you get there, you're going to be like, the realest thing I ever heard was we're all bitching and complaining about things that we dreamt about that we'd ever have 10 years ago. The things that stress us out today, the things that, I don't know, man. We would dream to have them 10 years ago. And now that you do, you just take it for granted. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be very thankful that I have air in my lungs, food in my belly, 2 feet to stand, 2 knees to pray, and I have GameStop. Can't stop, won't stop, GameStop. I'm going to see you tomorrow, millionaires, and every day, God willing. Peace and amen. Good night.